What happened while we were away, brought to you by frustration. President Donald Trump hit the Supreme Court yesterday on Truth Social saying, quote, "I'm doing what I was elected to do, remove criminals from our country, but the courts don't seem to want me to do that." He went on to say, great Supreme Court Justice Samuel Alito correctly wants to dissolve the pause on deportations. He's right on this. If we don't get these criminals out of our country, we're not going to have a country any longer. We cannot give everyone a trial because doing so would take, without exaggeration, 200 years. Meanwhile, Democrats have settled on a new buzz phrase.
There has to be due process.
The due process that they deserve.
Here without due process.
Due process is the essential core element.
There's due process that exists in this country.
It's constitutional rights to due process.
Stephen Miller, your thoughts?
No American citizen receives this level of so-called due process. This isn't due process. This is called infinity process to keep you here forever. Yeah. That's what this is.
Oh no, it's crazy.
No American citizen charged with a crime, with a serious crime inside the United States, a U.S.-born American citizen receives this kind of process. Millions of dollars in free legal services, representation at every single level. Do you think that there is any, for example, any American citizen who was persecuted, who was innocent related to January 6th? Do you think they could just get this kind of relief, this kind of process? No. It was never available to them. Yeah. The whole system was rigged against them, just like it's rigged in favor of illegal alien invaders.
Moving on, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth continues on the warpath against incessant hit pieces and smear jobs against him.
This is what it's all about, trying to get at President Trump and his agenda. Those folks who were leaking, who have been pushed out of the building, are now attempting to leak and sabotage the president's agenda and what we're doing. And that's unfortunate. I know exactly why I'm here. To bring warfighting and the warfighting ethos back to the Pentagon, to rip out the insidious ideologies and not compromise and not back down, to bring in new press voices into the Pentagon, which we've done, to reestablish standards and accountability, to not tolerate leakers, to 100% operational control of our border, to get rid of trans lunacy in the military. We haven't backed down. See, here's the thing. A lot of people come to Washington and they just play the game. And it's you punch their ticket and get along to go along and, start doing Meet the Press and go into the Council on Foreign Relations and spending time with all the new cocktail sipping crowd. That's not why I'm here. I'm here because President Trump asked me to bring warfighting back to the Pentagon every single day. Right. That is our focus. And if people don't like it, they can come after me. No worries. I'm standing right here. The warfighters are behind us. Our enemies know they're on notice. Our allies know we're behind them. And that, in this dangerous world, for the American people is what it's all about.
Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent is taking time out of his high-stakes trade negotiations to talk to Americans about financial literacy.
America has been very good to me and my family, and I want to spread the word that through financial literacy, you can accumulate both financial security, peace of mind, and move toward your financial goals.
Don't you dare drain the swamp update. Here's Senator John Kennedy.
Would you support President Trump removing Jerome Powell as Fed chair?
I don't think any president has the right to remove the Federal Reserve chairman.
By the way, Kennedy said over the weekend the deportation of Abrego Garcia was a screw-up by the Trump administration and said he would call out Trump if he defies the courts. Senator Kennedy quips sharper than a gator's tooth, but beneath it all, he's just another prehistoric swamp reptile. A progressive district attorney in Minnesota has declined to charge a Tim Walz state employee allegedly caught causing $20,000 in damage by vandalizing half a dozen Teslas. The suspected vandal, 33-year-old Minnesota government employee Dylan Bryan Adams, was allegedly spotted keying the vehicles and stripping their paint off while walking his dog around the city. Despite what police believe to be evidence of Adams committing felonies in Minneapolis, Hennepin County District Attorney Mary Moriarty, who is one of those Soros-backed DAs, will seek diversion rather than criminal charges. Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. will move to phase out the remaining 8 artificial food dyes in America's food supply within the next 2 years. More details on the plan are expected to be rolled out today. The Education Department will begin collection next month on student loans that are in default. Currently, roughly 5.3 million borrowers are in default on their federal student loans. And finally, Happy Earth Day.
Deep in the woods of North Carolina, an extremist eco group called Earth First bewails the violation of American nature.
I want to mourn the loss of all the old growth trees I've seen, and tell them that we love them and that we don't want them to die, that there are some people here who do care. So I want you to know that, trees, that we care.
I think we are deeply hurting in America. I think we are deeply craving answers. I think that we've lost our identity as we have evolved into technology and into industrialized society. Bring me to this cathedral. Bring me to those guys. Bring me to this rock that has the most incredible life. That makes me feel alive.
I've looked at clear cuts and burnt forest, and I've felt outraged, but I didn't scream and I didn't cry. And I need to.
And that's what happened while we were away.